That's KFC next to a gas station. In fact, sandwiched between two gas stations. On Blissingen Road, KFC is owned by the Bihari Group. Bihari Group owns GBTI. Over here on Blissingen Road, this is Popeye's Chicken. Or it's a Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Here you get your Popeye's Chicken here in Georgetown. And over there is Survival Supermarket. What up, Raffleaters? Welcome back to my channel. We're here in Queenstown, Georgetown, going through street by street to show you how things are changing. This is Lance Gibbs Street. Lance Gibbs is a famous cricketer, was a famous cricketer with the West Indies team, Guyanese, national Guyanese citizen, Guyana member of CARICOM. I just want to show you what's happening here on Lance Gibbs Street. This street was renamed Lance Gibbs, but on Irving Street, right, the intersection is Irving and Lance Gibbs Street. There's a lot of new buildings going up. Street across from Irving is Blissingen Road. That is the old KFC. I did a story on that. It's now just a burnt out building. The same guy owns this building, a corrupt businessman who eventually found that he couldn't hack it. But here is CGX. So CGX is a Guyanese company that does oil and gas development, exploration. CGX used to be on Lamaha Street, but now they're here at this, they're renting this building at the corner of Lance Gibbs and Irving Street. And so we're going to just walk down Lance Gibbs Street to see what's happening. This is a window manufacturer. So this building is now occupied by a window manufacturer. They actually make these aluminum framed windows, aluminum and glass windows, and it's a local, I think it started out as a Brazilian enterprise, or a lot of Brazilians worked there at one point. I don't know if they're Brazilian or Guyanese, but they're making windows in Guyana now for houses and new construction. That's the CGX building. They're the Guyanese managed, I think it's a conglomerate of company of a number of investors. Guyanese managed oil exploration company. And these are what used to be the homes, typical homes here in Queenstown, in Georgetown. Remember, this was a quiet residential neighborhood before all of the companies started moving in. This has become I think a nursery school, daycare center. I don't know, looks like it. Over here, this is a partially renovated home. Notice that the lots are much wider than, say, Albertown. This is New Life Ministries Cathedral, a church. And over here, see, there's an empty lot. I think I missed it, but I think these empty lots are all going to be snapped up because, of course, they're prime property. Empty lots in the city. No, we can't have that. So somebody's going to snap that up. That's a new building. Actually, it's a building that's being extended, amplified. You know, we're going to take a look at that next time. This is a Colonial, modified, renovated Colonial building, a home. But of course, like I said, lots are larger here in Queenstown and say than lots in the city center. And so back 50, 60 years ago, this used to be the suburbs, but now it's found itself in the middle of the city. These are homes that have been renovated in the last, I would say, 20 or 30 years. So this is not the current phase of renovation. This is more than 10 years ago, renovation here. And so the current phase is actually seeing a much larger structure being built on the lot. So they're now going up 3 floors. This is the Guyana Conference for Seventh-day Adventists. See, the Adventists have had this building very long time. We're at Peter Rose Street, and I said recently that they built this building. Alright, these two buildings next door to each other were built in the last 5 years. They're now multi-unit condominium rental property. This is the Georgetown Cricket Club ground, 70 Adventist Street. Now, the Georgetown Cricket Club and Lance Gibbs Street, which we're on right now, were once the home of the talent from Region 4. Right, we have border. These are some renovated homes from, I think, about 20 years ago. This is not a recent renovation, but this is a typical Queenstown home that was built. You have a net in front of the house. That's interesting. Can you see that? There's a net, probably to protect it from birds. Another empty lot. What used to be a home, I think, the remnants of a home in back there. Guyana Freight Services. So this is now also a commercial space, commercial building. This building has been renovated, enlarged, but next to it, next door, is a unrenovated building. This, as I was saying before, is the Georgetown Cricket Club on Lance Gibbs Way. Lance Gibbs, of course, Lance Gibbs Street was renamed to commemorate the famous Guyanese cricket player Lance Gibbs. This is what the Georgetown Cricket Club looks like. The old building stands. That's the cricket pitch covered with some tarp. But the ground seems to be fairly good shape, well maintained. And the pitch, I think it was being renovated the last time I was in this neck of the woods. Yes, commemorates the street commemorates the famous Guyanese cricketer Lance Gibbs, and this is probably where he played. And this Georgetown Cricket Club was in fact the home of a lot of talent from Region 4. Cricketers who played at this cricket club eventually became quite successful, ended up playing for the West Indies. Lance Gibbs Way, we said, and now we're crossing over New Garden Street. We've actually done a walk along New Garden Street, Georgetown Cricket Club, and we've done a walk along New Garden Street in a previous video. Go check that out. And we've seen that there is some new residential condominiums being built at the corner of Forshaw Street and New Garden Street, but today we're on Lance Gibbs. This is Assembly of God headquarters. We saw the Seventh-day Adventist headquarters at the previous intersection on Peter Rose Street. This is a church, AME, right? St. Peter's AME Church. You notice the street is also wider than a typical street in Georgetown. So this was meant 60 years ago to be the suburbs. VJ's hair salon. And on the other side, a property for sale, 6 weeks to construction. They're actually building these, I suppose, tiny homes, well, new homes, I think, for, let's take a closer look at it. This is a construction company that is advertising a home that they can build for new homeowners, and I don't know what it costs, but it's currently a push to build lots and lots of homes of this sort, tiny homes or affordable homes for Guyanese young professionals. And this looks like what they would call a demonstration, a demo, a model home. We'll probably investigate further at some point. But that's 6 weeks to construction, and the telephone number to call if you're interested. This is the location. Another renovation, not so recent, is this home, but that's the Colonial. Next door is the Colonial architecture. This is the original Colonial architecture. This one has been extended a few times. Original Colonial architecture. Here's the Jehovah's Witness, and this is, of course, World of Flowers, combination of residential and commercial building here on Lance Gibbs. So I suppose on the bottom there is the World of Flowers, and on the top there are residences. Wide driveway for access in the rear. So this is Lance Gibbs Street. That's the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. They're here. So that's 4 churches on this street. Within 2 blocks, 4 churches. These are the original homes on in Queenstown, right? The Colonial architecture. There's people who think that this architecture should be preserved. They should be like historical homes. Some of them should have been designated historical homes to preserve the Colonial architecture. But it's no longer possible to do that because a lot of them are being destroyed to rebuild older homes. That's a home with another business on the ground floor, right? A home with a business on the ground floor again. This is another large home in Queenstown. Another church. We're now at Oronock Street. This, of course, on the east side is a masjid and a mosque. On the west side, 3-story renovated, 2-story renovated, and then there's a school. We passed that school in the last video yesterday. To remind you, it's actually on the grounds. Well, there are 2 schools, I suppose, next door. This is, I don't remember which church it is. Might be Roman Catholic. But next door is the primary school. St. Gabriel's. And yeah, it's a nursery school or so nearby. So this is what's happening here, guys. This is Lance Gibbs Street. It's called Lance Gibbs Way. And we're looking at how the neighborhood in Queenstown, that is this Queenstown neighborhood, is changing, has changed over the last several years. This is Mother's Union Daycare Center, I suppose connected to the church. Mother's Union of Queenstown, and again, Monar Educational Institute next door to what is now a 3-story commercial building. This is a breakfast spot. So we're coming to the end of Queenstown. See, the homes are, the lots are narrower. Getting to Albertown section of the city, and the homes are much more densely packed here on Lance Gibbs. The intersection coming up is Albert Street, and that marks the end of Queenstown. We've now entered Albertown. As you see, the neighborhood changes, the homes smaller, more densely packed, but also still in the old architecture that is Queenstown. Used to be a colonial architecture neighborhood, but there's now renovation going on, changing the look of the architecture in the neighborhood, but some of it still remains. This, for example, is old architecture from the colonial times, but it's now Albertown Police Station. That's the Albertown Police Station and the fire station next door, right? Fire station, ambulance. So eventually usually a fire engine in the yard. Let's see if it's still there. Yep, there is one there. So this is the neighborhood fire station from Queenstown. Showed in one video recently. They're building a new fire station on Homestretch Avenue. I suppose eventually some of this the equipment will be moved over to that new large fire station. Let's continue our walk now on 4th Street, Albertown. So that's looking back at Lance Gibbs Street in Queenstown. As soon as we cross over that intersection, we're now in Albertown, and this is 4th Street, Albertown. Again, what's happening is that a lot of the renovation taking place is occurring on smaller lots, so they have to go up higher. You have to go up higher to get the space, the square footage. This one is some kind of offshore, amethyst offshore. This, I think, is the car care company. They sell rims and so on. This one is a new house being constructed here in Albertown. So this is the 4th Street Albertown neighborhood of old. A lot of the homes are still in their original form, of course, because it's difficult to renovate these homes to go bigger unless you're going up, right? Because all of the land is still restrictive. I don't know if it's still 40 feet wide in this neighborhood, 40 feet wide and like 80 feet deep, or 40 by 40. So the size of the home, the size of the footprint of the homes restrict how wide you can build. Hello? So this is what's happening in 4th Street, Albertown. A lot of this, for example, is, I think it still is, a repair shop for vehicles. Now on Light Street, crossing over Light Street. That's Light Street looking down south. You go all the way to the end of Light Street, there's that new building. I'm gonna do a film on that, video on that building. It's kind of interesting architecture at the end of Light Street. A new building, it's just been completed. That's Light Street looking north. And the final block will take us to Cumming Street. But this is 4th Street in Albertown. As you can see, still a residential neighborhood. It used to be a quiet residential neighborhood, but of course because of all of the growth in the city, it's becoming quite busy. It's now an important road for traffic, an artery taking you into the city. So there's a lot of traffic on 4th Street in Albertown because it's a way to get all the way from St. Road. Now that's an empty lot, a large empty lot. I'm pretty sure that somebody's thinking of snapping that up to build a new building pretty soon. So this is 4th Street, Albertown. It's become a pretty busy thoroughfare because it's a way to get all the way from St. Road to downtown. And you can go through all of these neighborhoods, which used to be quiet neighborhoods. But this is it, guys. This is what's happening here in Georgetown. This is how the neighborhoods are changing. This is woodpecker products, trophies, sports and so on here on 4th Street in Albertown. This is a newly renovated residence, and next door one that is unrenovated. So a lot of these homes will eventually be torn down just because of the demand for land, and of course people are willing to pay huge sums of money for property in Georgetown now. There's like a not only a building boom, a property inflation boom. This is Cumming Street and the end of Albert Town in Georgetown. So guys, that's it. That's what's happening here in Georgetown, Guyana. The neighborhoods are changing. Some of it still looks like it did in the old days, 20-30 years ago, but most of it is being renovated to look entirely different in architecture. Tell me what you think about the changes happening in Queenstown and Albertown here on Lance Gibbs Street and 4th Street in Albertown. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening here in Georgetown, Guyana. Later!